What is up, everyone? We are live on WOLFpak TV, and I'm here with Javier Mendez, who is his resume is insane, but I'm just going to start off by saying that he is the owner of American Kickboxing Academy, AKA, and he has some of the top MMA athletes in the world. He has coached some of the top MMA athletes in the world since 1985. He is a world kickboxing champion, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, and we're just gonna like dive right in, and there are just so many things to share about Javier. So I'm just gonna leave it at that for now, and then we're gonna unveil the layers as we go. But first, I want to ask, how are you doing tonight, Javier?
I'm doing really good, and thank you for having me on board. I was looking forward to speaking with you. I haven't seen you in quite a while, and I gotta say, your intro with the WOLFpak backpack is very impressive. I was that out of all the podcasts I've done, this has got to be the number one most impressive out of all of them. So, it kind of does want to make you want to get one of these backpacks. So, it's thumbs up.
Well, don't worry, because I'm gonna hook you up. So you are going to get one, and we'll talk about that later. But yes, no, welcome. It is such an honor to have you here. We're going to talk about your fighters going into UFC 311. We're going to talk about some of your past fighters. We're going to talk about some of your accomplishments. But the first thing I want to do, and I told you this, that I'm going to surprise you with a little treat. Okay, I found this little gem of you.
Oh no!
All right.
Oh boy.
All right. So talk me through this. Okay. So tell me what fight this was. Tell me what you already know, but talk me through it.
This looks like that's my coach, Walt Pops Carvalho, and this looks like my world title defense against Marek Petrowski at the HP Arena. I lost this fight, by the way, and the memorable part about this part, the memorable part about this one is when you lose a fight. I've lost the one. You see, I had a loss before. I lost my fight before that, one fight before that, and when I lost that fight, I was very upset. And I started crying in my room and vowed it will never happen again, et cetera, et cetera. But after this fight, I gave it my best. And I lost. And I came outside smiling with a black eye and the whole bit. And because I did my best, and I couldn't have done any more because of what happened during the training. I was, I had plateaued and I was burned out, and I didn't have any energy. I had zero energy. And, people talk about in bodybuilding how you hit that wall, where Arnold talks about you hit that wall. I never realized that what that wall really was until I trained for this fight. I hit that wall, and man, you can't even get out of bed. It's like your body doesn't move. It just stops. So it was a really, really bad experience for me. But it was a big, valuable lesson for me also and I still to this day tell my guys, don't listen to your coach as much as listen to your body. Your body knows more than your coach. And if your coach is not listening to you when you're telling them, then find another coach, because he's not listening to what your body is telling you. If you're a fighter, you're a fighter. You're not going to make excuses. You're going to do what you're going to do. But if you have a coach that's not listening to you, that you shouldn't be listening to him if he's not listening to you. You have to listen to him, but he has to listen to you also. It's not a one-way street. And in the fighting arts, it's been mostly a one-way street. And I've changed that, where I listen to my fighters. I listen what they have to say, and I look at their bodies and I see what they're doing. It's very important that you have both ways. It's like you in your field. Can you imagine you're telling your trainer, hey, when I do this technique this way, it really, really hurts, and I don't feel the benefit as much as I do the pain, and he's telling you, no, this is the way it's done before. Trust me, just stay on it, and you stay on it, and then before you know it, you rip a bicep or something, or a pec, and all of a sudden you're like telling yourself, damn it, why did I listen to him and not myself? And I've learned that. Listen to yourself. Don't listen to your coach as much as yourself. I'm not saying don't listen to a coach. I'm just saying if he's not listening to you when you're telling them the truth about how your body's feeling, how you're feeling.
Yeah. Well, you started in kickboxing, and you were obviously extremely successful at it. But You started training with a gentleman around like 1996-ish. It was like a little after the UFC had started. And it was a gentleman out of your gym who was training mixed martial arts. And he introduced you to it. So tell me about that and then how that sparked your passion for MMA.
Okay, well, how the MMA started, it was with Brian the Fury Johnston, who was one of my students. He was a
Right.
Golden Gloves boxing champion and in the special seniors division. And in I think 94 or 95, he won the title in boxing. And there was one gentleman by the name of Polar Bear Paul Varlins, and he befriended with Brian. So he came over to my gym and he used to
Yeah.
use Brian as a training partner. And Brian used to, train Paul. So as a result of Brian training Paul Varlins invited me to go to the UFC Denver, Colorado, called the Ultimate, where all the previous big name
Okay.
guys would fight each other in a big heavyweight tournament. So it was in Denver, Colorado, called the Ultimate in December of 2000. 95. I'm sorry, 1995, 2005, 1995.
I was
So,
like, oh.
yeah, 1995. So that's where I got my first, feel into the UFC, seeing what it's all about. And then from that point, Brian Johnston, I got him into the UFC through Art Davie, who was the matchmaker for the UFC at that point. I knew Art Davies through the K1, and I used to get my fighters into the K1 USA through Art Davies, like Jean-Claude Laurier and Jerome Turcan. So that's how I got Brian Johnson into the UFC through Art Davies.
Okay. All right. So did you ever compete in the MMA?
No.
Or did you compete? But you obviously, you trained your skills. You became clearly an expert in MMA, but kickboxing is your background.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Right?
this is the way it would. Yeah, this is the one thing people don't know. I don't know how to wrestle. I don't know jujitsu. I take the book off of Think and Grow Rich from Henry Ford. Not Henry Ford, from I forgot the person that wrote the book. But anyways, is you don't have to be the engineer to know the best engineer. You don't have to be the mechanic to know the best mechanic. You just have to know where to put the people in place and let them do the work. You just have to be in control, like Henry Ford did.
Yeah.
So I took that mentality and I said, well, I don't have to. I don't have to know jujitsu. I don't have to know wrestling.
Yeah.
I just have to know how to put it together. And that's what my secret to my success has been, is not knowing the art, getting the right person to teach it and put it all together. And it all comes down to game planning. Game planning is a huge component that people don't understand.
My favorite quote is by Napoleon Hill, which is, "Success requires no explanation." If you have the track record you have, does it really, matter? But that does actually bring up an interesting thought. So your specialty obviously is, standing up. And, when it comes to groundwork, your athletes are really, really good at groundwork. So tell me your, your mindset, like how you are able to really coach guys from the ground so well when your expertise, like your background, was in stand up. So explain that.
Well, it's basically like anything, if you understand the mechanics, and you understand the strengths and the weaknesses of an opponent, you can easily teach it without knowing it. There's this lady who's really dear friend of mine. Her name is Carolyn Webster, and she's a wrestling coach and one of the best I've ever seen. And she never wrestled. She's a mathematician, genius mind. And all she does is break you down to your body points, where your strong points are, like math. If this end of the table is weak, you need to make it strong type thing. And she's able to do wrestling coaching and doing seminars to the highest level. And just recently, if I'm not mistaken, one of her pupils ended up winning the gold medal in the wrestling this past Olympics at 19 years of age. A young woman that she actually had some hands in. So she's not a wrestler herself, but she doesn't need to be a wrestler. She just has to understand the mechanics of wrestling, and that's the same mentality I have. My specialty is not the technique; it's the mental part. That's where I'm really shine. I really shine in the mental part.
You do. I can really appreciate that, because I think that we have there's different types of intelligences. I think kinesthetic awareness is like a strong set of intelligence for elite athletes that require a lot of skill. And, you know, for me, I've never done MMA, but I have been, you know, really into it a lot lately. And when I watch athletes fight, I don't know, I'm not at your level, obviously not even close, but I can definitely see right off the bat certain strengths of some of the athletes. You know, I can see some of the athletes working better, you know, from a wrestling background. I can see, or assuming that they probably have a wrestling background, I can see some athletes, but obviously if you're able to understand the skill sets of all the different martial arts, you know, you're playing to people's strengths, but you're also probably training their weaknesses and trying to get them to level off. Because I mean, to extend that a little bit longer, you have some athletes who maybe you can predict or, you know, kind of assume that they're going to do a certain style. And then you have your athlete, you want them to train in a way that is going to counter that, right?
Correct. Yeah, you're picking it up. That's what it comes down to, is the love for it. You said you've gotten into it, right? Because now you've gotten into it, you're looking into it deeper than most. You're not just looking from the outside. You're trying to look on the inside. You're trying to look under the hood to see what makes this baby run. And that's what you're doing. And that's why you're understanding it. And that's why you can speak the way you are to me and with knowledge, because you're speaking with love and you have that in you for the sport. So therefore you can speak with some authority, because you're looking at these things. You're not just talking nonsense to me. You're talking things that resonate with me. I'm like, okay, she knows what she's talking about. And no, it's good job, because you're doing your work on the sport you're saying you like, you know, and therefore it shows in your questions.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have been really getting into it. In fact, last week I interviewed Mark Coleman, who you probably know. You know of Mark Coleman, yes.
Of course, he's the old G.
Well, you have to, because you trained Frank Shamrock, who was the first ever light heavyweight champion, and Mark Coleman was the first heavyweight.
Yeah,
middleweight.
No,
Shamrock was the first. Okay, that
middleweight.
I read that wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, that was in 1997, and that was the first year they had weight classes. Before that, it was all together.
Yeah, it was all together. In 1993, it started with Hoist Gracie, and the Gracie family started, and you know, everybody came in, all weights, all sizes, and Hoist was the smallest guy to everybody. He come in with the gi, and he beat everybody. He did it 2 years in a row. So it was one of those things where you have a Gracie coming in, destroying people. He looked like the college nerdy kid. You know, he wasn't a nerdy kid looking, but good looking kid. But he was the college kid looking, and he came out and destroyed these monsters. And that's what gained so much popularity, because how can this guy do this to these big guys, you know? And
oh, I lost a little bit of connection. Oh, we lost a little connection there.
Yeah.
We froze, but I will piggyback off of that. I was looking at so we're gonna. I kind of like jump around a little bit, only because you brought up something that I was thinking about. But you have Umar
Nurmagomedov, Khabib's cousin. Just say Umar, Khabib's cousin.
I know. I should just say Umar. Okay, so he's going to be fighting against Merab, right?
Yeah.
Now Merab chose to enter the fight with Umar, but beforehand had won against Sugar Sean O'Malley, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think about O'Malley when I see O'Malley fight. He is wiry. He doesn't have, I mean, you wouldn't imagine that this fighter could pop the punches that he does. It kind of throws you off. You're not expecting it, and then you see him going for it, and you're just like, where does this come from? You know what I mean? Like, how is he built like this? Is that kind of similar to what you're talking about?
Yeah, you know, Sean O'Malley is a good technician, a very good striker, and he can deliver some power, and therefore he's one of the best, you know, and yeah, he doesn't look like much if you're looking at it from a built point of view. He's not built strong, or you know, he's just thin, wiry, but that guy's very dangerous, and he can hurt you very easily.
Yeah, he is dangerous. All right. So a little bit about your history before we get to some of your fighters, because this stuff is super impressive to me. We already talked about how you coached Shamrock, who was the first middleweight champion in the UFC, which is so impressive. Now, what I thought was so cool is in 2015, you were the only trainer to have 3 concurrent UFC champions. What? Cain Velasquez in heavyweight, Daniel Cormier in light heavyweight, Luke Rockhold in middleweight.
Yeah.
What? Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
You know, it was kind of like one of those fluky things, you know. It just so happened we were building the team.
I knew you were going to say that.
And you know, to be honest with you, we were so close to having 4 with Khabib being the next one, but Khabib got injured, and though he couldn't fight, but if Khabib wouldn't have got injured, I know 1,000,000% I would have had 4 current champions, but that didn't happen. It wasn't in the cards. But yeah, you know, I didn't realize it till later, but that is a heck of an accomplishment. You know, there's a lot of awards, I guess, that are out there. If you look at the history that pertain to me, or I have part to do with it, you know, which is pretty amazing. But I never look back at those things because, you know, unfortunately for me, I look at what's next. I finish something, I don't look back. I just, okay, who's next? I make a champion, who's next? I mean, I have Umar fighting for the bantamweight title. I've never had a bantamweight champion, but once he gets the title, which I'm believing he's going to, I'm going to look at what's next. Who am I going to help next? And that's my mentality. And I'd like to continue to stay that way. What's next? What's next?
Mm-hmm. Jumping to this picture right here.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about this, because I stumbled on this on your profile, and I already knew that Khabib was very popular. But when I went to his profile, I saw that he had 38 million followers on Instagram. It's insane. It's insane. So tell me about this photo. Tell me about, you know, where you're at with Khabib. I know he retired. Just give me a little bit of your inside information.
This photo here to me is very special because this was the only time since 2012, since Khabib was with me, that I got to actually train with his father and see what a great coach and a great man he was. So for me to share the spotlight with his father was a big honor. And to watch Khabib do what he does, and watch how his father ran the practices. And to this day, Khabib takes a lot of what his father has done, you know, and run the practices now. So this is a very endearing, for me, it's very endearing because I never got to do anything with him, because Khabib was with me for every fight since 2012. He wasn't with his father in the fight camp. He was with me. You know, so for me, this is special. Also, what makes it special for me is the fact that his father, to me, I think was the greatest coach, and he allowed Khabib to come train with me. And I know most coaches that are that good, and he was that good, why would he allow his son to come train with me? Why would he do that? It just takes a very humble, passionate, and very caring, you know, great coach. And that's why, on top of the fact that I've seen how great he was, but that also makes him great to me, because not many coaches could have done that, what he did. And he never told me one time how to train his son. Not one time to discuss training his son anyway. He came and watched me in 2015, I believe. He came to watch the training. And from that point on, he just basically, he was very, very comfortable with me. He never told me one time how to train his son or what to do with his son, not one time. The only thing I do know is that I would talk to Khabib about certain things. Or, Khabib, you know, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, yes, coach, I know. Fathers say the same thing. I go, what? I go, but we didn't discuss it. He goes, I know, but fathers say the same thing. So his father and I, we thought the same alike. So after he was gone, I decided to make it a mission to always make sure I say father's plan, because these are his boys, like Umar, Islam, and Usman. Those are his boys, and I wouldn't want people to forget that. So that's why I put most everything I do father's plan, you know, to honor the great one. You know, that's what he was.
I saw that. Now that I have the background on that, that makes it even more special to hear you say that. That's awesome. I love that. That's the kind of stuff behind the scenes that people don't realize. Because when you look at an athlete that's performing at this high of a level, you know, everyone wants to know what the magic sauce is. Like, what is the magic that is injected into somebody that is performing at such a high level, that is like kind of fueling you as the coach to be able to operate the level that you're operating. And then when you hear stories like this, it makes sense. You know, I mean, somebody who has like a really strong rooted connection to what they're doing, and there's, you know, family ties to it, there's sentimental components that you're like bringing in, all of that I think is what makes a champion get to the next level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it
And
has a
then
lot
you
to do
call
with
it
it,
luck.
you know.
You call it luck.
Well, to
Oh, go
some
ahead.
degree it is luck. To some degree it is luck, but you know, you have to know what you're doing too, of course, you know, and but you know,
Yeah.
you know, it was fortunate for him to come to me. I didn't recruit him. Habib came to me, and you know, those things. So that's why, in a way, I call it luck, because you know, I didn't recruit him. I didn't see him. He came to me, and the rest is history as far as what he did, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
and for me, you know, I like to not toot my horn too much, because every time you start thinking about that, and you're thinking about you, you're not thinking about your fighter, and it needs to be about the fighter, not the coach, you know, and not the training partners, the individual that's getting into that cage or that octagon or that ring. It's all about him, and you know, energy needs to go towards them. You know, in order for them to be the best they can be, we need to focus on them. And when, you know, I did this before when I had BJ Penn and we were fighting for the world title, you know, in I think 2001 or two. I don't remember exactly what date it was, but we went for the you know, the world title, lightweight title, and against Jens Pulver. And this is the first time in my life I got stupid. I go, oh, you know, I want to do what these other guys do. They wear those beanies and they have the little gold tee. You know, I can't grow nothing anyways. But I went in there with kind of thinking of how I should go looking in the fight. And that fight was the worst disaster ever. Poor BJ was sick the days before the fight. He everybody was sick. He got it really bad. He lost all his energy. He went into that fight half of himself. And here I am, Mr. Stupid me, thinking, oh, I'm going to come in looking all whatever, you know, for the camera. So never ever again did I do that mistake again. That was a one time only type thing. And I realized then, wait a minute, it's not
Yeah.
about you, it's about BJ, you know. It's about him. Do
Yeah.
everything for him. So I never forgot that, and I don't ever want to forget that. That, you know, it's never going to be about me. It's always going to be about them.
I like that. Well, I've coached a lot in my life too. And I have noticed that, you know, that does separate the best coaches from the rest, because you're truly investing in your athletes. You know, you're mentoring them and you're guiding them, but you're letting them like rise to the top. They're the stars. And I do see that with coaches. Sometimes they say my athlete this and my athlete that, and what we've done. And not that there's anything wrong with that if it's done in the right way, but there is an energy. And I think that some coaches really do kind of get very possessive over their athletes.
And they control them. Yeah, they try to control them too
Because
much.
it's an energy. You could really feel it through like the way someone writes, the way they operate. But yeah, like you said, it's like you grounded yourself and you're like, this is not what I'm doing this for. I don't think it was bad intention at the time, but you're like, after the fact, you're thinking, gosh, like, I don't want to even be perceived that way. Cause I can't imagine that even though you did that, you were even thinking that, but you just knew after the fact it didn't look good. But I get what you're
No,
saying. I don't think you ever had that intention, but you're so self-aware that you're thinking about how you don't want anyone to think you had that intention.
yeah, it's the self-awareness, and it's little simple things. I think ahead. I'm a thinker. I think ahead. Let me give you an example of something totally off subject, but it's similar to what
No,
I'm talking about.
I want to get
We're
in
at
your head.
we're at the PI, you know, the UFC PI, where all the fighters train, is the, you know, the institute, UFC Institute, and there they have physiotherapy and they have training upstairs and downstairs, and they have many fighters from different camps come and train there. And there was fighters there last night that were related to fighters that were involved in, and based of the fact that I was done with what I was doing and I didn't have anything to do, I left, because I don't want to be put in a situation where I'm looking at the other fighter that we may fight one day and go, oh, yeah, he was looking at us, he was watching us train, and I just don't think it's right for me to do that. So I won't look at other fighters training, unless they're mine or unless they're friends of mine. And it's because of that very basic territory type situation. Like, I didn't look at you. I didn't cheat. I didn't have a cheat code. I did it the right way. So
Got it.
I didn't stay around, because a lot of people do that. They watch you and they see what you're doing. Then they go, oh, he doesn't do this, or he hurt his foot, or things like that. And I don't want to be ever labeled as, oh, the coach, he was watching us on the sparring, so he knows what to look for. I pay no attention to anybody because of that reason, because it's important to think ahead, because later it can come back. You end up fighting somebody you were watching sparring, and all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, he's a cheater, the coach is a cheater, he was watching us train, this, and it'll happen. I know it'll happen, guaranteed it'll happen, because I think ahead. And that's part of the gift that I have had, is I think ahead of what could happen. I'll give you an example what I'm talking about. When Khabib first was going to fight Conor McGregor, the very first time it was signed, he goes, coach, we're signed. I said, okay, he's going to come after your country. He's going to come after your religion. He's going to come after your family. He's going to come after your manager. He might come after me. Be prepared for that. Don't let him win, but he's going to do this. I guarantee you, he's coming after you. And I did that almost on a daily basis. Remember, don't let him win. Don't let him win the press conferences. Don't let him win anything. He's coming after you. He's coming after this. He's coming after that. So throughout that whole fight camp, Khabib beat Conor in every situation. From the press conferences where Conor came in late, Khabib says, coach, what do you think? He's going to come in late. My contract is 15 minutes and that's it. I'm out. I'm not waiting for him. I'm going to do my thing and then I'm out. So I said, perfect. So Khabib comes in, he does his 15 minutes. He goes, you guys, I'm sorry, I got to go, blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much. Boom, gone. Conor comes in after 4 or 5 minutes. I thought we already left. It's exactly that. We beat him there again. Everywhere we beat him because it was mentally planted beforehand. And that's how you actually get someone to be successful. In the bodybuilding field, I would imagine if someone's working with you, they're telling you about vision yourself in that stage, always motivating yourself, always looking to be your best, always put on that big smile, show the confidence. Because if you don't do those things with confidence, you don't do this with that, not cockiness, but confidence, it's going to show on stage. So in order for you to do that, you have to embrace it. You have to love it. And if you don't love it, you don't embrace it, it's kind of hard to show who you really are. And those are some of the things I work on. They're more mental than anything. A lot of people ask me, what's your secret? I said, what's mental? But then they all kind of like lose steam when I say mental, because they don't understand what I mean.
Well, there's a lot of layers to this, okay? Because you're talking about really creating an energy around you that includes, the respect from your competitors. Like, they don't have to like you. They don't have to want you to win. They obviously won't, because you're competing against them. But when you acquire that level of respect, that can really go a long way on your side when it comes to you, like, putting together the energy that you need to be successful, right? And I mean, if you are showing up to their practices, like you were saying, and you're watching them practice, and you're seeing where their flaws are and their weaknesses are, which, by the way, this day and age, you could easily go onto someone's Instagram account and watch how they fight. You can watch previous fights and you can study that way, because I do believe in studying your competition. But you're talking about just the basic respect, and like making sure that you like hold yourself to that higher caliber of coach. And that is part of creating your energy. And then, the way that you treat your fellow competitors, the way that you handle every single element leading into the fight, like as professionally as you can, all of those things are creating this energy that really puts you in that advantage. And you're giving yourself that next level advantage in every aspect, from getting respect from everybody, to having the right energy, to feeling like a winner, to being professional. You're checking all those boxes and making sure that your mind is like zoned in the right place, right?
Right. Those are correct. That's what you have to do, and a lot of people, maybe they don't understand what you and I are speaking about, but if they really listen, and then they can go, now I understand. I understand.
we will operate. I think humans operate like so emotionally sometimes. It's hard not to be reactionary. It's interesting in the MMA world because you're in a sport where, let's say you have, things in your life that are, irritating you or angering you, or maybe you're going through something. Probably a really good MMA practice with you is probably great. Uh, a great soothing, or whatever you want to call it. Like if I was going through something and then I came to your gym and I started training, it probably would help me. You know what I mean? but taking the emotions out of your reactions, I think that's hard for people to do.
Yes, yes, yes. It's very difficult to do. And again, if you put yourself in the situation where you do this because I ask you to do this, it's that's really the area where many coaches, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, where they don't succeed as well as they can if they put themselves in the fighter situation and look at how to build them. Don't
Yeah,
look how to build you, because you're not building you, you're
yeah,
building them. So don't look at them as you, because they're not you, and every
yeah.
one of my fighters are all different. They don't ever, if you look at every single champion I've ever had, none of them fight the same. Not one,
No,
not
no, we
one,
all have a
not
totally
one.
different strengths. Yeah, it's really, that's what makes it exciting, though. Speaking of which, you do this fight camp, okay, at your gym,
Yes, yes.
uh, and you do
Well,
have
this
a.
one's at the UFC gym. This is the UFC gym.
Okay, okay. Oh, so it's not your gym, but this is your camp, correct?
Yeah, this is the guys. There's Umar's fighting right here. Umar and next to Khabib is his cousin who's fighting for the bantamweight title against Merab, and then Islam, pound for pound #1 in the world. He definitely is pound for pound. And Tahir, who's a flyweight in the 125-pound division, and he's fighting in the prelim fight. So the two main events are the ones that Khabib has his arms around. Those are the semi-main, his cousin, and the main event is Islam Makhachev.
So which is kind of crazy that you have two. Well, you have Makhachev, sorry,
Yeah.
in the main fight, and then you also have Umar. These are the top two fights of the night, and
Hmm.
you're gonna have your mind. I would say you'd have your hands full, but it's not like the volume of it. It's the mental, ability for you to stay focused at the level that I know that you do focus. Tell me what a fight camp like this does for the athletes leading into the upcoming fight, because it looks like there's camaraderie. You're getting them to all like kind of play off of each other's strengths and weaknesses. Like, tell me a little bit about the fight camp.
Well, this particular fight camp, we all have certain things that we work on. They're not all the same.
Mhm.
With Umar, since this is his first shot at the big league, right? It's looking like a champ, feeling like a champ, doing all the right things, to be the champion. And with Islam, everything is keep doing what you're doing, keep doing what you've always done, but we need to improve here, we need to improve there,
Yeah.
and just maintaining his mental and his physical. And the one thing about Islam Makhachev is he knows how to train. He knows when to lay off for training. He knows when to put on the steam. He knows how to do it all. He's the perfect example of a total package fighter. He is the most well-rounded champion in the lightweight division history of champions, and not all divisions, just the lightweight division. He is the most
Mhm.
complete package, and until here he's probably one or two fights away from a title shot himself. Not this fight, I don't think, but maybe one or two more after this one, and he'll probably get a title shot if he prevails.
Right. I can't play this video because it's from the UFC and I don't want my video to get
Yeah,
taken down.
don't do that. Don't do
No, I'm
that.
just showing screenshots of it, but I will say, Islam and Arman, they went at it before, and Islam came out the victor. And here they're coming in for a rematch, right?
Yes.
I will say, looking at and this is like kind of, I don't want to, everyone does this, so I'm just going to put this out there, but I did look at their Instagram following, just because I'm like, trying to figure out like where are the fans going to go with this, right? And I saw, Islam has 9.1 million followers on Instagram. Arman has 1.6 million. Both have in the millions, so it's crazy, right? But it does look like Islam has a huge rally behind him. Now I know you've gone on some podcasts and there are some people that have had some questions about Islam being in the main event. Tell me a little bit about Islam and Arman going back into a rematch. What are your opinions? What do you think?
Well, you know, the first time they fought in Russia, Moscow, and it was Arman was an unknown at that particular time, and it was a back and forth fight, very exciting back and forth fight. Arman threw a great fight, great fight. You know, he definitely lost that fight, but he definitely gave Islam a very, very tough fight. Other than Arman, the super toughest fight for Islam has actually been Dustin. The last fight, Dustin is the toughest fight he's ever had. But other than that, Arman is definitely in the top three toughest guys that have gone with him, you know, for sure. And they both improve. Arman's improved tremendously in every area. He's got a great camp, great coaches, you know, and they're going up against another great camp with great coaches also. So, you know, it's going to be one of those, we got ours, well, I got mine too, you know. So, but I hold the title and I'm going to defend the title. And we're going for 4 defense. This will be a record. This will be the first time that anybody's actually gone more than four defenses in the lightweight division, because it's been like quite a few people, not quite a few, but people have had like 3 defenses. Like for sure, Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn, you know, have 3. Khabib had 3, and Islam has had 3. And there might be one more that maybe has 3, maybe Benson Henderson. I'm not quite sure about that one, but I know for sure those 3 guys, 4 guys, including Islam, have 4 title defenses each. So Islam wins this fight, he'll have 4. So he'll break that. So he'll be number 1 in that department now. So not only will he be pound for pound, he'll be, you know, number 1 on title defenses too. And like I said, Arman's very hungry. He knows what he's up against, and I like what Arman says. I like what he represents. You know, everything about him is very likable. And I mean, they're too polite to some degree. Whereas, you know, Umar and Merab's stirring up the pot. So Merab's creating some pretty good interest.
Yeah. No, the Merab one is interesting because I was watching what you know, some of the like top people in the UFC space, and between the fighters and the coaches, there were like some compilations, like what people think about the Merab and Umar fight going in. And one thing that I thought was interesting is somebody had mentioned that Merab could have gone to a rematch with Sean O'Malley, but he decided to go into a match with Umar, and people have suggested that it's because it's going to be a harder match and he wants to go into a harder match. He doesn't want it to be easy for himself. What are your thoughts?
And that's totally opposite of what actually happened. It's Merab was avoiding Umar, okay, because this is what happened when Umar fought Corey Sandhagen. Umar fought Corey Sandhagen, and they were told, Corey Sandhagen was told, if you beat Umar, you get the title shot next. Okay, it went for Umar also. So if Umar beat Corey, he was going to get the next title shot. So we go into the fight, we win the fight. Now we're expected to fight for the title. The UFC brings Umar to the spear. Okay, they were going to announce him. They wanted me to go too, but they didn't have a seat next to Umar, so I didn't want to go. If I was going to be next to Umar, what's the point of me going? The point was for me to be there to scout how the winner, we were going to attack him, be there in person with Umar. So that didn't happen. So the fight was already scheduled through the UFC that it's going to be Umar. They would have never had us there if they weren't going to do that. They would have never announced Umar as the next if they didn't want that to happen. They wanted to happen. Merab had other plans. What they were, I don't know. He's not afraid of Umar for darn sure. He's not afraid of anybody, but he was definitely avoiding that. And then he wanted to fight Umar in Ramadan, which is, you know, it's traditionally, you know, Khabib team never fights in Ramadan, never going to happen. So, so he wanted to fight then, but then I think Merab got a lot of pressure from a lot of people about the fight. And Umar just wanted to fight. He didn't care if he was, after a point, he didn't care whether he's going to fight Merab or not. He wanted to fight somebody before Ramadan. So then they put him with Yang Sedong, and it was supposed to, maybe Umar said he's scheduled to fight December 14th with Yang Sedong. Well, no one told Yang Sedong's crew because they never accepted December 14th. So we jumped the gun, and then that got canceled because Yang Sedong said he would fight Umar, but in January. So I'm confused at what the hell's going on. So I'm asking, well, what's going on? Who are we fighting? Khabib says, Coach, I don't know. I don't know. Then all of a sudden, I guess the pressure, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be mistaken, but I don't think I am, Merab called Dana and said, I'm tired of people saying I'm afraid of this guy. This, I want to fight this guy. I want to shut him up, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's what he said, but he called Dana. He wanted to fight. Umar got the call in the middle of the night and asked if he wanted to fight Merab on the same card with Islam. And Umar said, absolutely. So both guys have like 40-day notice type training camp. So they're both on the same type of scenario, you know, so we had to hurry up to catch up to get in shape. So that's what happened. So it's not anything else other than that. It's the UFC. That's who they wanted us to fight from the get-go. Merab did not want to fight him for whatever reason. I don't know. You know, he's talking about he didn't earned it, you know, like I did. But, you know, let's not forget one thing. When Merab was a top contender, his training partner, Aljamain Sterling, was the champion. So Merab could have got a title shot a long time ago, but he couldn't get a title shot because his training partner, who he wouldn't fight, was the champion. So then when his training partner loses the title, then who gets the title shot? Merab. There you go. So now it's like, what are you talking about? So, and then also too, I'm going on what I think on this one. I'm not 100% sure, but I think the fact that Sean O'Malley, he got an easy next fight after he won the title, you know, from Aljamain. He got an easier fight. So I think Merab's going, man, I went to the trenches. Why you give me one of the toughest guy stylistically for me in my division? Give me a break. Give me somebody else. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not saying I'm right. This is a conspiracy theory on my part that he's like, you know, why don't I get an easier opponent? I don't want to fight this guy. I'll fight him later, you know, when he's earned his name, built his name. That's what I think. But regardless, you know, that's how it went down. We were scheduled to fight. The UFC wanted that fight, did not indicate to nobody else. But when Merab didn't want to take that fight with Umar, at that particular time, the UFC was looking to match him with somebody else. And now it makes sense, right? Now you think when Merab came and forced the fight to happen. So Merab did ask for this fight, but it's only because he avoided it so much. He got so much beef from all the fans that he said, I'm tired of people talking. I'm going to shut this guy up. And, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, that's a highly motivated individual. So if I'm underestimating him, it's bad.
Do you know what? That's actually what I was thinking when you told me this whole story, is that, you know, I think that he sounds dangerous, not to scare you. I mean, not that anything would scare you, but I think that when somebody responds that way, you know that they are going to put everything into it, because you know, when you're like out to prove something to people and yourself, I think those are the most motivated, ruthless people. That sounds like that's kind of the state he's in right now.
Yes, that's in the state, and and that could go against him too, because that's my plan. So let's see me work. Let's see Khabib and I and the other coach work our magic, and Umar, of course, he has to do the work, but let's see if we can pull it off. But I believe we are. I believe we're going to pull it off, and regardless, the fans are going to get a great fight.
Well, yeah, because they both have similar strengths. I noticed that just in studying them both, they both are really good from the ground. They have a lot of like jiu-jitsu and wrestling skills, which is, I mean, when two people are like really skilled in like the same arts, it kind of, I think that's what makes a fight really exciting. And that's what is going to make theirs really exciting, I think.
Yeah, because it's gonna go everywhere. It's gonna go the stand up, the ground. It's not gonna be one or the other. It's gonna be both. But the area where we shine on him, our stand up's better, it's crisper. You know, our jiu-jitsu is better, our grappling is better, but his wrestling, his cardio is top notch. So he's got some qualities in him, and he is the champ. He is the champ, so you can't take that from him. He hasn't lost in 10+ fights. So this guy he's a beast.
Definitely. This is so exciting for me. I'm sorry. I'm super excited. We have really fast. I know that you have to go soon, but I want to pull this up. So I have the main card here for the UFC 311. All right. Oh, I didn't realize that I was still sharing the screen with you. Sorry to everybody who saw my process. Okay. So we have the we have the main card here, and you have which is kind of crazy. You have, here's the top 2 fights right here. And
Yes.
we just talked about them, the Makhachev and Umar.
Yeah.
I mean, what I don't think people understand, and I can appreciate this so much, okay, is that this is like on paper 2 people, all right? But I have seen you, I have seen the way that you coach, I've seen the detail, like focus that you have. What kind of brain power, what kind of energy does this type of scenario weigh on you?
You know, it's a challenge, and it's a challenge that I look forward to because it's a challenge. So I don't look at oh my God, it's too much for me. No, I look at it like I embrace it. I want this. I want this because I feed on this type of energy. I want this. So I'm going to be that night. I'm going to be the calmest guy out of everybody because I'm so
Really?
experienced with this. Oh yeah, yeah. It's so easy. If you tell me, Coach, are you nervous? Habib goes, you nervous, Coach? I go, no. He goes, I'm very nervous. I go, yeah, but you haven't been here as long as I have, rookie. so I've been there so many times. So I learned how to calm my nerves, and the more relaxed you are, Wendy, the better you'll be. And I'm very relaxed in there. I'd probably, I don't know because I don't know about other coaches, but it used to be so bad for me that I actually got insomnia as a result of worrying too much, you know, about my fighters. So still to this day, I can't sleep without sleeping pills. But the fights themselves don't bother me at all whatsoever anymore.
Right.
No, I don't even think about them the night before anymore. Before I used to think the night before I couldn't sleep. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. Now, nope. If you ask me, you know, the night of the fight, hey, did you think about the fight? I'm going to say no. I slept like a baby with sleeping pills, though. Then I'll sleep like a baby.
Mean, but that's when you don't have control over the situation. When you're there physically, you have control. So that makes sense. That's how it is for me too. I get nervous when I'm not in control, which is like the day before, and I'm not like in the moment. So, you know, that's when the nerves really kick in. And then when you're there, like for me, it's, you know, I'm in competition. It's the day of. Well, this is when I'm in control of the situation. Now, like the nerves go down.
That's when you're relaxed, and that's when
Yeah.
you do your best. When you want to do your best, when you're ready for it, when you're ready for the challenge, that's when you are at your best. So that's why I don't get nervous. It's a waste of energy. It really is. I'm sorry to say, because I know what it feels like, and I know it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of emotions, and I rather save my emotions for what's going to benefit my guys and not miss a beat. Because anytime you think about something else, it takes away. Like, I'll give you a perfect example, and you understand this. If you're driving a car and you look to the left, you might have gotten a wreck already. That quick. So why is it not the same for fighting? It is that. So that's why I don't miss a beat. No. I'm focused. That's why you said at the beginning, I'm laser sharp. I'm paying attention. Normally, nothing gets my attention other than what's in front of me, and that's the way it should be, you know. And maybe I shouldn't be sharing that, but I don't think I'm sharing anything that other people don't really understand. They're coaches, so they do.
This doesn't happen by accident. The level that you coach at, it does not happen by accident. I know you said luck, but I don't totally, this is not a luck situation. You know, you obviously have the strategies, you have the ability to know where to place your energy in the right place. You know how to set up your energy, you know, get respect from everyone around you, you know, back to what I just said, focusing your energy where it belongs, where it's going to favor you the best. You're not wasting it on something that is gonna throw you off, and I think that takes skill. It's pretty insane. You're amazing. Oh my gosh. I know you have to go. Teach a class. Okay, but
I have to go train the fighters.
I know you got to go train them. They got to go. Like, they got to win somehow, right?
Yeah, got to be there. Got to be there on time. It can't be late.
I want you to have the final word. And what do you want to say to all of your fans and followers and all of your fighters, fans and followers?
Well, I just want to say thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to buy a WOLFpak backpack because I'm getting one for free.
I love it. Don't go anywhere. I just want to say bye to you on the other side, but I just want to tell everyone who's watching, thank you for tuning in, and it's going to stay up on our channel, so you can watch it anytime. And Javier, again, thank you so much. You are just a one of a kind, amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. All right.